Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, professors, panelists, students, and friends. After months of preparation, it is a great pleasure to welcome you on the opening of the second edition of our International Forum Conference, a space where academic thought meets human experience, where local voices echo across borders, and where today's dialogue shapes tomorrow's world. On behalf of the Creative Schuman Leaders Scientific Circle and the entire organizing team, I am honored to officially open this day and welcome you into a space created by young leaders for dialogue, cooperation, and creative thinking. My sincere thanks go to Professor Wojciech Gizicki, Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences and the academic supervisor of our circle. His guidance and steady support have been essential since the very beginning of this initiative. We are also pleased to welcome Mr. Ryszard Krzyżkowski, President of the Institute of the Schuman Thought, whose continued involvement shows that Schuman's ideas are not relics of the past, but sources of living inspiration for our times. And it's a great honor to welcome Dr. Margaret Quittenberg, professor at Leiden University and a leading expert on Robert Schumann's legacy. Thank you for joining us today. We also welcome Piotr Tarnogórski, President of the Europe House Foundation, who assisted in the preparation of the conference and shares the values of our circle. Now, please, big applause. Also, many thanks to all the patrons who appreciated our event. Mayor of the city of Lublin, Krzysztof Żuk, Rector of the Catholic University of Lublin, Faculty of Social Sciences School, University Student Government School, International Student Support Center, Cool Career Service, and Social Debate Forum. As well as media patrons, Gazeta Something New, and Academic Film Studio. Finally, a heartfelt welcome to all our panelists, international guests, university lecturers, leaders, partners, members of the Creative Schuman Leaders Circle, students, and friends. You are the heart of this conference. Before we move on to our keynote theme, let us first give the floor to the distinguished guest who honors this initiative with his support and presence. Professor Wojciech Gizicki, please welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much for the invitation to this international forum. At the beginning, please give me a moment to welcome all of you at the John Paul II Catholic University of Lublin and the Faculty of Social Sciences, the biggest at our university. I am absolutely sure that Poland, Lublin and our university are absolutely best places for this kind of discussion about the actual and important problems of EU and global and regional cooperation. So thank you very much for this initiative, all of organizers. Thank you very much for our distinguished guests, especially for Professor Margaret Quittenberg from Holland. I am very glad and happy that you're here again. Thank you very much for my friends from Robert Schuman Institute from Warsaw. And absolutely thank you very much for all my students from the Scientific Council of creating leaders of Schuman. It's absolutely a great job. Thank you very much for this initiative. It's really important for us, for our team and me especially. Thank you very much for all participants, panelists. We're waiting for your voice in this area, who is the topic of our conferences. The one of important part of our discussion in this international forum will be the future of European Union. My personal voice about this is absolutely positive, but in European integration as a process, not at the European Union as an initiative of European integration. We must do everything what we do for a better world and for better European Union. I am absolutely sure that we must return to the idea of Robert Schuman and the other European fathers at the beginning of this process from the 1950. So this kind of discussion, especially from the young people, will be absolutely occasion to give us a proposition of these processes. At the last, forgive me, I can't stay a long time with you today because I have the other important meeting outside university, but I hope that I will be a part of this discussion tomorrow or the next day. So for all of you, have a nice time today and the other days. Greetings for all organizers and participants, and see you again tomorrow. Thank you very much for all of you.
Thank you very much. Now, let us take a moment to reflect on the man whose vision inspired this event, Robert Schuman. For Schuman, Europe was not merely a political or bureaucratic construct, but a community built on shared values and cooperation. He believed unity should emerge not through domination, but through partnership, and that diversity was not a weakness, but the strength. His famous words, "Europe will not be made all at once or according to a single plan. It will be built through concrete achievements which first create a de facto solidarity, remain a source of guidance for all of us." Now, one of our creative leaders, Anna, will tell you some words about Robert Schuman. Welcome her with bravo applause.
Greetings to everyone, greetings ladies and gentlemen. I will tell you briefly his biography, his life. So he was born in 1886 in Luxembourg, 29th of June. He lived in pretty enough difficult times. He faced during his life 3 wars: Prussian War, First World War, Second World War. So living in such times had influenced and impacted so much in his worldview, and he is called, in other words, as father of Europe. As in the times when he made these treaties with steel and coal, which was an aim to make your enemies your friends, make your friends all over Europe, especially with France and Germany, because they were all the time having wars during his life. And 9th of May, in 1950, it's the Day of Europe, Day of Unity. During the time when it had appeared, It was post-war time of the Second World War, which was really ruining all Europe. Europe was in ruins. At the time there was Marshall Plan, which was recovering 16 countries of Western Europe. He proposed to unite, to have some direct policy. He was uniting, having that straight vector to unite. Maybe briefly to remind that he was, by his mother's side, Luxembourgish, by father's side he was French, and he was giving big, gigantic contribution to French politics. He had graduated in the field of law studies. He studied in Germany, in Munich, in Berlin, and he was an expert in this field. But not only. He had been elected in French Assembly in 1990s. Then he was serving for France all the time. Then there was a Second World War. He was like an underground. He was against Nazis. In 1942, he was in Gestapo. And he was strongly fighting for freedom of France during the Second World War. It was really that time he had released himself. He'd shown himself to this world. And then he was a Minister of Internal Affairs of France, Foreign Affairs, and then he was the Prime Minister of France, making big impact on the politics of the Second World War, and as well in 1950s he was active and releasing that idea exactly that for what we gain today. And in 1958 he was in the European Assembly. So really turning enemies into partners, building bridges, being in unity is the main plot for what he is known. Thank you so much for the floor, and maybe all of you know his professional things more deeply than me. I showed you like small parts. You can read a lot of books, a lot of literature. You maybe know much more than me. So thank you so much for the floor, and I hope this conference will show big, diverse gaining of various people. There's people from Brazil, people from Poland, people from various corners of the world will be presenting for 3 days. We're united, we're all diverse and different. Unity is the key to everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Anna. We will have also opportunity to listen her more in these days. And inspired by this legacy, we founded that creative Schuman Leader Scientific Circle 1 year ago, 1.5, a space for young people who want to lead with purpose, build across differences, and bring change not through force, but through creative cooperation. Our mission is simple: to inspire, to integrate, and to initiate. Our vision is a global network of young leaders who don't wait for change, but become the change. And now, before we begin the academic program, we would like to invite on the stage an extraordinary young woman, artist, a student of Italian studies, a passionate singer, and someone whose voice is said to sound like an angel. Please welcome with the warm applause, Julia Grzeszko. She will perform the Italian song Volare. Let music open our hearts, just as ideas open our minds.
Poi d'improvviso venivo dal vento d'attivo
Grazie mille. Bellissima. Grazie mille. Thank you, Julia. We are enchanted. You are giving the conference a vibrant and unforgettable beginning. A day full of meaningful discussions, new ideas, and international encounters lies ahead. We encourage you to participate fully, ask questions, share thoughts, and co-create this experience with us. And if you are curious how to become a leader, meet people from all over the world, visit 15 countries in a year for free, or even learn to speak Japanese, stay with us. Everything starts with a conversation. It is with joy and pride that I now declare our conference is officially open. Let's begin with the foundations. We invite you to our first panel on the influence of Schuman thought on European culture with our distinguished guest, Margret Kritenberg. Welcome and pleasure. Margret Kritenberg, a renewed expert on European integration, senior lecturer at the Hague University of Applied Sciences, and a leading scholar of Robert Schuman's legacy, is the author of Schuman's Europe. Her frame of the reference, and co-author of the children's book The Father of Europe, published in 6 languages. Dr. Kritenberg has lived and worked across continents, bringing together cultures and ideas. And today, she joins us to share her insights into how Schumann's vision continues to inspire Europe. Applause, please.
Thank you very much, Alexandra, for this beautiful introduction. And thank you anyhow for inviting me to come here and speak about Schumann. I always think it's the best thing you can do, because Schumann is amazing. We all know that. Because of that we are all standing here, sitting here now. Okay, so I don't know if you can pass on the slides already. I'm going to the first slide very quickly, because thanks to Anna, I can go fast. Because you mentioned already a lot about his background, and so I won't say that again. And oh yeah, just before I start with this whole slide presentation, I showed the booklet here, the children book. I just show it. It's nothing more than The Father of Europe as a children version. And why did I write it? Precisely because I think that Schumann's thoughts are so extremely important, and they can help to improve the world so much that also the little ones should know about his vision and his thoughts. And that's why we have it now in 9 languages. It's also in Hindi and Romanian and other languages. Okay, so yeah, thank you. If the light can be switched off, it would be nice, because then you can see this a little bit better. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, so just to give you an idea, as I just mentioned to you, I think it is so hugely important, Schumann's thoughts. So I tell the students at the Hague University of Applied Sciences, it's applied science, by the way. So it's really nice, they have to put it into practice. And I tell them first a course of 6 weeks, and then later on we have annual International Schumann Congress. We have this year the 12th, and if it is possible, but I'm not sure if it will work immediately. If it doesn't work, then we skip it. No, I don't think it will. Anyhow, it is a short YouTube movie that students have made about Schuman. It's only 1.5 minutes, so it's very short. Very short. The lights keep on. It's okay. Yeah. Enough. Anyhow. So we have it every year, and then they have to look through Schuman's eyes at EU and the world today. But I think you just switch it off, isn't it? That if you switch it off over there? I think it's better, or not? It is. Yeah, I think it's better. Just leave it, no, switch it off. I think it's better you switch it off. So, okay, and I'm going to show the next one also. Oh, wait a minute. I will take in front of these. Here. So this is what we just had at our university on the 27th of March. All those students presented. They are from all over. This was a COIL project, so the Collaborative Online International Learning. And I was teaching them during 6 weeks, 2 and our students 3 times a week about Schuman. And then they worked in small groups, you know, of 12 people or so, students from all over the world. So they were from India, they were from Spain, from Portugal, Italy, they were from Poland, they were even from this university, some of them. So, I mean, and then from our university, they are from all over. I mean, because it was an Erasmus project, and so they came from all over. There were only a few Dutch people among them. And they had to work in small working groups of 12 people then, or 30, look through Schuman's eyes at EU and the world today and solve problems like migration, climate, EU-Russia, EU in the world, etc. And they did an excellent job. It was full of hope, very positive, very positive. And they were so positive that they said, wow, we now know that we really can contribute to improve the world. I will tell you more about all this, but I just want to introduce this. And these are students, other students, they went to primary schools to teach the kids of 9 years old how Schuman thought also, but then on a child-friendly way. And all those kids, 150, they came to our university and we had a beautiful day with them also. But also a 6 weeks course. So you can also, with children, you can do a lot with Schuman. Here they're teaching, and oh yeah, oh, this is not the one, oh, I'm sorry, it didn't get, because, okay, this is also nice, but I had 2 pictures, and now I see that they didn't get into this presentation. I was in Warsaw just before coming here, and there I saw a beautiful expression of St. John Paul II speaking about cultures, the different cultures. When you are confident about your own culture, your own identity, it is very easy to also respect other cultures and other identities. And he called for this understanding, this mutual understanding, and unification in that sense also. And then there was another one that was also in Warsaw, that says that he was so happy to meet the youth. Because you are the future, you know, you can really make the society flourish. This is extra omnes. I just took it out because this is when there is a conclave. And the cardinals, they should be out of everything. No one can enter, but also their thoughts should just be led by the Holy Spirit. Because the Holy Spirit unifies. And not, well, he is from this country, he is from that country, he is from that country, and I like this country, I like that one. No, not like that. So it's all extra on this, and that means the unification. I put this picture, I'm sorry, that's me. I'm baptized by John Paul II, long time ago when I was a student. So I thought, okay, you know, it is not like, okay, you know, the Dutch people, they are different again, they're not Catholic, we are Catholic also. I mean, it is across cultures. Everything goes across cultures, and here I just liked it, I thought I'd just show it. So, as I'm here at John Paul II University. Now, of course, we have Leo XIV, and I put him also here because I think he's extremely, well, of course he's extremely topical, he's just elected as our Holy Father, but also because Leo the 13th was the one of Rerum Novarum. I don't know if you know about him, but it is the social doctrine of the church really has its foundation on this Rerum Novarum and before on Thomas Aquinas. And he, of course, didn't choose this name for nothing. He just wants to continue with, also with Franciscus' thoughts. He didn't know, I go very quickly because thank you, Anna, you mentioned already a lot. But if I ask my students, for example, okay, I'm asking you, who started the first revolution in India? Do you know? You don't know. Gandhi. Okay, usually people know Gandhi. But if you ask who started the first peaceful revolution in Europe? Schuman? Schuman? Who is Schuman? He's extremely unknown. Extremely unknown. When I say who is Robert Schuman? They say, oh, wasn't he the Formula 1 person, you know? Well, that's Schumacher. And another one says, no, he was the plastic surgeon. That is Robert Schumacher also. So nobody knows. It's so sad. So I'm very happy that you are all interested in Schuman, and please spread the word who Schuman is, because it is amazing. He started, we never ever had, okay, of course, you are Central Europe, but in Western Europe, we also always had war among the EU member states. Always. We never ever have had such a long period of peace as we have had now, which is 80 years. It is 75 years Schuman Declaration, but I dare say that if it weren't for the Schuman Declaration, we would have again trouble, conflicts, wars. And not only because of the Marshall Aid and that there is no war. It is because of the concept of Schuman that I'm going to talk about now more. I'm just going to show you then also that his father was from Alsace-Lorraine, but switched nationalities. He was French, but he became a German after the Prussian War that you also mentioned, Anna, and where Bismarck had conquered precisely that part, and it became German. So Schuman was born a German, and I think this is also very interesting. He was from a conflict region. He was born in Luxembourg, but his mother also, she was from Luxembourg, but she became also German because her husband was German, you know. So he's born a German. And he studied in Germany civil law, so German civil law. And he did his PhD in Metz. He did it beautifully, very bright student all the time long. And then something terrible happened in his life, and that was that his mom died. His father had died already when he was a small child, but then his mother died, and this was extremely important, a crucial moment in Schumann's life, because he started to wonder. He became a lawyer, a very brilliant lawyer who helped the rich, who helped the poor in Metz, but his mother died in an accident, and he had a very close relationship with his mother. His mother was a practicing Catholic, and Schuman also was a practicing Catholic. He was also, I just said, a conflictive border region, but also his faith had a tremendous influence on him, and so much so that he was thinking, perhaps I have the vocation of a priest. So this shows how deep the roots were in Schumann's thought. And then there was German friends of his, well, Henry Eschbach of that region, after the first, this is not yet, this is before the First World War. So he said, the saints of the future will be saints in suit. And I think this is tremendously important and nice to know. I always ask the students then, what is sanctity? In Holland, you're not very much familiar with faith, usually, when I ask it at our university. So, well, perhaps one knows St. Francis of Assisi. Yeah, you know, if everybody becomes like St. Francis of Assisi, who is wonderful and a great saint, then there won't be a flourishing economy, politics, and all those things, you know. Everybody cannot be like him. So, this is exactly the saints of the future will be saints in suit is, I think, highly topical. And I just mentioned it also to another Anna. Just before that, I heard an expression of Saint Josemaria who says, the saints of not this, he says, the world crises are crises of saints, what a handful of people can do. And then you can think, when you throw a stone in the water, if this stone is a saint, but also anyhow, each of us is a stone. So if you throw it in the water, we make circles, and those are bigger circles, and circles, and circles. And that can have a huge influence in society. This was for Schuman the moment that he thought, okay, I remain a lawyer. And yeah. And then, okay, he was very much influenced by Saint Thomas of Aquinas. And what is so beautiful of the Thomas of Aquinas is also that he thought, however much apart, you know, and different thoughts are or interests are, there is always a point where they can meet. And that was very useful, especially after the Second World War. But okay, and so after the First World War, we know Alsace-Lorraine went back to France. So what happened with Schuman's nationality? He became French. So he had a change of nationality. Also interesting to know. And we know then there was this Treaty of Revenge. The Treaty of Versailles was a treaty of revenge. I'm saying all these things, and then I will come later on to his spirituality, but I think you have to know a person in order to know his spirituality. So that's why I think it's very important that you have a little bit more background than this. And then he was chosen. He didn't want to become a politician, but they chose him as representative of this region in the French Parliament. And he thought, okay, if this is what God wants, I will be there. So he was there. And then again, a very important thing that he did was that he had, as a lawyer, he had to change the laws of Alsace-Lorraine into, or combine them, oh sorry, not combine, he had to adapt them to the laws of Paris. He only adapted them till the extent that it was really necessary. And this is the subsidiarity principle, you know? So not more than needed. So that's why the social laws that Bismarck introduced are still in Alsace-Lorraine, and not so much in the rest of France. Because the rest of France is the laïcité. Yeah? And also religion is still taught at public schools in Alsace-Lorraine, not in the rest of France. So this is the subsidiarity principle that really says, don't give him more than really needed for the common good. And, okay, and then, oh sorry, I just want to say also that he started after the First World War, and so we had this Treaty of Revenge. What did Schuman do? He started a policy of reconciliation. Can you imagine? I mean, with your archie enemy, it's now not the first thing that you think of, okay, let's start a policy of reconciliation. You know? So, it's quite something. And this, what I just mentioned about the subsidiarity principle, is called the Lex Schuman, and all students had to learn about it also, because everybody was happy. The people in Alsace-Lorraine were happy, the people in Paris were happy. So, this is the way to work. Of course, he was also a person of his time. We had Nazism, and we had communism. People like marionettes. So both were horrible. And Schuman thought, how can we get the sting, you know, the sting out of these wars the whole time here at the European continent? And then this, I think, is excellent and really, I mean, I think this is, if we can live up to this, then it's so good. We are all instruments, however imperfect, of a providence who uses them to accomplish grand designs. He never ever he could become the father of Europe, that of course, he also needed Adenauer and the Gasperi and Monet, but he was already imbued by this idea already before the First World War, that we need to have peace at the European continent. How can we achieve? What is the way to think? He never thought that he would be able to do so, but he knew that in every person, each of us, is like a jewel that is polished by all the circumstances that are happening, by other people, by other horrible or not horrible things that are happening in the world. We are polished. And if we let ourselves be polished, we can shine and be of enormous influence there where we are. And you need not be a politician, you need not be a big person or something like that, just, there where you are. And this is the way to go to have a healthy society. And this is, I can think that this is for Schuman the deepest thought that he had. He had a very close connection with God. Whenever he took a decision, he first consulted it with God. God, what would you do? Jesus, what would you do? If you were in my place, what would you do? What would you think? What would you feel? What would you say? This was his way of acting. And he saw this thing, and that's why also both friends and enemies respected him, because there was unity of life. What he said, he did, he thought, it came out of the depths of his being. And I think this is precisely what we are called, each of us is called to be, as a Christian especially, but every person. And deep down, every person is religious. Also the people that say that they are atheists or whatever, deep down, everybody has this deep religious intent inside itself, because we're all children of God. When we have the faith, we also have the grace to correspond to it. And this is what he did. So, here, all instruments, I just said, this certainty obliges us to a great deal of modesty. Humility was, I think you can even touch it. When you think of Schuman, humility. I mean, he never claimed anything. That's also why nobody knows him. I think this is a really great pity. But everybody thinks it's Monet. Yeah? Monet was very important, we'll speak about that later on. But I mean, the ideas come from Schuman. Monet wrote it, all those things. But the ideas are from Schuman. So, this certainty obliges us to a great deal of modesty, but also confers on us a serenity that our own personal experiences would not justify if we consider them from a purely human point of view. And this is what I said. He thought, who am I, to start a peace project in Europe? And this happens. People write history. Persons write history. It's not like many people, okay, also sometimes it happens. But at the basic, like Gandhi was the initiator of the change in India. And now, okay, so like that, Christ, he is the example. I mean, look what Christ did. Of course, he was also God, so he could do it, you could say. But the thing is that people can do enormous things. And then also, he is now declared venerable. Why? Because venerable means that he lived the virtues till a heroic degree. He will soon be a singer. Well, soon I don't know what the world wants. Well, what the world wants, yes, I know. But I mean, how things will go. Then, just to know, after the Second World War, it was a huge mess. So, also financially speaking, Schuman also became the Minister of Finance. Because he was the one who could, he took care of transparency and the finances were put in order again. I just want to say still of the Second World War that Schuman was the first parliamentarian to be caught by the Gestapo. And he was put in prison 7 months. He studied Thomas of Aquinas over there, the papacy thoughts, and so on and so forth. And he was there for 7 months. He would be sent, that's also what is mentioned already, to Dachau. But then there was a German officer who said, no. We put him on house arrest because he can be very useful to us because he knows a lot, he's a parliamentarian. Okay, cut a long story short, he escapes, goes to France, is there in monasteries and hiding everywhere, but at the same time also not hiding because he is speaking about, what do you think? Reconciliation. You know, he was wanted by the Germans. There was an enormous amount of money put on his head. The one who caught him would get an enormous amount of money. What does Schuman do? Speak about the need of reconciliation between France and Germany. I mean, it's quite something. Anyway, a lot more to talk about all this. Martial help, of course, that was very welcome because at least in Western Europe the economies could go again, and that's why the Schuman plan could go ahead also. Congress of the Hague, I skip it. Okay, so here we have the founding fathers, just to show you. Schuman at the left, De Gasperi, Prime Minister from Italy, and Adenauer as the one from Western Germany. The three of them were from conflictive border regions. Schuman, we know, so that's what I would say, and then De Gasperi, he was from the Hungarian-Austrian side, and he became Italian, you know, because we also had the formation of Italy at that time, 1871. Later on that, yeah, so he had this change of nationality also after the First World War. Then Adenauer, of course, he was also from the Ruhr region, so also border region. So that's what they had in common. They had in common that they spoke German as a native language. They also had in common, and that's, I think, in this case is all things happen for a reason. They were all three practicing Catholics. I just learned also that the other two are in the process of beatification, but the only one declared venerable is Schuman. Anyhow, so they said that really what binds Western Europe and Eastern Europe is the European common heritage. And that means the Greek-Roman tradition, Plato, Aristotle, and so on, and the Jewish-Christian roots that are in everything. They are in education, they are in the law system, they are in the education, and in the health system. And then Monet, of course, he came later on in the picture also. He was extremely important, and the collaborators, Schuman's collaborators, they wrote there, especially, told Schuman's thoughts also about the need of supranationality. Because Schuman had thought, what do we have, think of Thomas Aquinas, what do we have in common? Where are our interests? Yeah, that is coal and steel. Very practical. So, instead of fighting about it, so instruments of war, they became instruments of peace. We use them as instruments of peace, as equal partners. We start a peace project and we put those instruments of peace at a supranational level, so they are no longer French, no longer German. They are European. This is very interesting because I think with the natural resources, now we see everywhere, we see wars because of natural resources. And this could help a lot thinking in this way. So we need to be aware of our specifically European and common patrimony, and we need to have the will to safeguard and develop it. And here we have the European spirit. So I hope you are still, am I speaking too fast, by the way?
No.
No, it's okay? Okay, no. The European spirit signifies being conscious of belonging to a cultural family and to have a willingness to serve that community in the spirit of total mutuality without any hidden motives of hegemony or the selfish exploitation of others. I just continue because I think it is our century that has witnessed the catastrophes resulting in the unending clash of nationalities and nationalisms must attempt and succeed in reconciling nations in a supranational association. This would safeguard the diversities and aspirations of each nation, while coordinating them in the same manner as the regions are coordinated within the unity of the nation. This is such a healthy way of thinking, you know, nationalisms. What's happening now? Everywhere in Europe we have populism, polarization. Same things are happening again. This is not good. And what he is saying, like, okay, I know in Poland you have very many different regions. You know, let each region please be its own region, you know, in the Netherlands also. But we know we are all governed from here, from Warsaw. In the Netherlands, from The Hague. But also in the Netherlands, however small it is, the north is very different from the south, and the east very different from the west. So, but okay, you know, this is what is said also with this Lex Schuman, the subsidiarity principle. Let each region, let each municipality, let's start with the municipality, let each couple, family, municipality, region, nation, continent be as much itself as is possible, but never against the common good. So the family, it should not go against other families or whatever, or the municipality against, or the region against national interest, or the nation against European interest. I know we will have discussions on all this, but and also Europe not against the world interest, and then we can think of natural resources. Many topics for discussion, but okay. So here, just that you know, this is really okay. The Schuman Declaration, French-German reconciliation is amazing. We can say that as equal partners. Effective solidarity, yes, because coal and steel became the European Community of Coal and Steel came into being. Supranational high authority to safeguard European common interest. That's today the European Commission. Political unification through economic cooperation so as to serve man and his transcendence. And this is what we have forgotten many times. The economy should serve man. What is the aim of economy? To serve man. Man should not serve the economy. I mean, okay, if it serves the economy, it's nice, but in the first place, the economy is there to serve man. Politics is there to serve men, to organize society so that men can flourish. So, the ECSC, but okay. This is, so he was not just a man of thoughts, he was also a man of putting into practice. Reconciliation, output, Schuman Declaration. Peace through cooperation, output, European integration. Effective solidarity, output, ECSC. Subsidiarity, output, Lex Schuman. Supranationality, output, European Commission, you could say, by authority. Democracy and rule of law. Okay, as cornerstones for building trust between states. Result, preventive peace building. And I think this is very important, that we have preventive peace building. And, yeah. So, I can go on, but perhaps you want, I don't know, well, check. I don't know if you want to ask already things, because if not, I'm talking too much. Human dignity linked to common good should be at the center of everything. And the Schuman project was not merely political or economic, it was a moral, even spiritual project in the first place. So what is needed is a moral renewal, a reawakening of conscience. I think so, yeah, because I can go on and on and on, and I'm afraid you will fall asleep.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Wojciech Mazurkiewicz. I'm candidate of PhD of History from KUL, from this university, and I was asked to help to be moderator. Originally, it was supposed to be a discussion between two major guests of this conference, but we will be fine. I have some questions, some that would ignite social debate. First thing will be about history. Both world wars were about conquest, about economic prosperity, about economic dominance of Germany. In First World War, we had Middle Europa. In Second World War, by Nazis, we had slavery. Wasn't the vision of Schuman of economic unity promoted questionable in Europe devastated by both wars? Wasn't it suspicious that German from the birth, from Alsace-Lorraine, with very German surname, would propose economic union?
Thank you very much, Wojciech, for this very nice question. It was a kind of miracle that the Schuman Declaration came about, I can tell you. It is not an economic project, right? I think that is always something that it is deep down, it is a moral, spiritual project. The economy, as I tried to say, is really a means. It was meant as a project, to bind, to get this thing going. But it was very difficult for him to get it through because people didn't want it. Can you imagine? You just had millions of people were killed in the World War II. So, how can you extend your hand and say, okay, let's make peace. Let's start a peace project together. People didn't want it. In France, they didn't want it. Nobody wanted peace. Well, peace or at least not cooperation, reconciliation with Germany. So it was prepared very nicely by Schuman and Monet and so on and so forth. They had informed already 2 ministers before that they were going to launch this Schuman Declaration because they saw it really as the only way to get out of this cycle of wars and wars and wars and wars. And the Schuman Declaration came about after the lunch when people wanted lunch, we're already a little bit dozing off and so on and so forth, so you want to go home, whatever. And that was the moment and Schuman, he had not a really very, provocative tone of speaking. He was very much like, whoa, 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 whoa. And so he said, okay, the Schuman Declaration will come about, and he's like this and that and that and that and that and that and that. And then 2 ministers that were really very much respected stood up and agreed. They said, very good idea. Like this, we avoid the German question, because the German question, that was the main thing that should be solved. What do we do with Germany after the Second World War? And this was also, and he also had to come with a solution because the US told Atkinson, France should come with a solution of the German problem. So then, okay, those 2 said yes, so okay, yes. And then it was the Bon Schuman, it turned out to be. But there was a journalist asking him, what's going to happen now? He said, I don't know, it's a leap in the unknown. The EU, you can think of it whatever you want, but it's a unique project. There is no organization like the EU, because there's no organization that is supranational and that can enforce laws and things like that. The thing is that now we have deviated from the original thoughts, from the roots, and that's what makes it problematic. But in itself it was, very nice project. Thank you.
Thanks for the answer. Second question, it will be more about this God-servant figure, about religion. In World War II, there were many atrocities, many genocides, and many black pages of history book, even in church. Some places like Croatia, Italy, France, church collaborated in some point with fascist organization. And here this is the question. Could the Christian values that Schuman introduced into the vision of Europe have been not controversial because Europe experienced secularization of influence of atheism, ideology of communism, of Soviet Union. Religion wasn't so popular after the war. Wasn't that also very controversial take to called himself God's servant. Wasn't it too much for European nation that started to secularize, and we have see fruits now that most of Western nations are not believers?
Thank you very much for this question. Schuman himself, he was extremely discreet. He went every day to church, to Mass. And as I mentioned before already, he consulted everything with God before saying something. And so he was a contemplative soul in the middle of the world. He just did whatever he thought he had to do, what God asked him to do, and he just corresponded, whatever. And I think in that sense it's like the first apostles, you know? I mean, okay, at the beginning the first Christians, they got killed. But they also lived out their faith, and it's also thanks to the martyrs somehow that also Christianity just, you know, went all over the world. So I don't think that the fact that it was very much secularized had a lot of influence on Schuman at least. I mean, he was a big believer, and those other two at least, de Gasperi and Adenauer also were big believers, Catholics. And if I may give a nice observation about the times that we are living now, at least in the Netherlands, many young people get baptized. We had now, okay, in our church there were only 8, but in Amsterdam, for example, there were more than 100. And in all over the Netherlands, more than 1,000 young people, like you, or younger. So, and there is a kind of, I think we have had the deepest point. In France, there were 15,000 young people baptized. So, I think we're getting there again. And you are a great nation because you have this strong faith, and I think if all of us really try to live up to our faith, we change the world. That's the truth. That is what God can do through us, you know, and through each one of us. So I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful. Yeah. And we are pilgrims of hope, not this year especially, yeah. So, but of course we have to. We cannot be pilgrims of hope if we don't believe ourselves. But yeah.
Thanks again for the second question. Now we will move to the cultural section. Europe was always diverse in cultures and languages. For example, Belgium. As I can tell, there is no such a thing as Belgian nation. There is Flemish nation. There is Walloon nation. So this is also with Spain, Catalan language, Castilian, Galician, Basque. We have a very diverse continent, but diversity isn't equal with modern term of diversity. How did Schuman arrive European identity and his vision of European culture consisted with the current cultural diversity in Europe? So in short, thus today European Union multiculturalism is equal European identity vived by Schuman.
Thank you very much also for this question. You know, the beautiful thing of Schuman is, and that's a little bit the expression that I had, that we are all instruments, however imperfect, of a providence who uses them. That counts for every person. No borders. No borders. It counts for everyone. And the beautiful thing of when I do those courses at our university, the people are from all over. They are from Africa, they are from Asia, they are from all over Europe, they are from the United States, they are from everywhere. Everybody wants deep down the same. I ask them, what is the aim in life? To be happy. Yeah, what is happiness? You know, Bin Laden also wanted to be happy. Look what he did. So, what is happiness? Nobody knows. To do whatever you want? No, you know. It cannot be the truth, because if you do whatever you want, another person cannot do whatever he or she wants. So people realize that. So that's not happiness. So what is happiness? Okay, then I tell them, I know, and it sounds extremely arrogant, but it is the truth, and it counts for you. I go with that, and it counts for me. To try to become person you're meant to be. Of course, I think by God. That I cannot say at my university. Then the next question is, but how do I know who I am meant to be? Again, these are people also from Africa and Asia and whatever, so everything. Well, okay, what kind of qualities do you want to see in another person? That the person is honest, that the person is nice, that the person is patient, that the person is perseverant, that the person is, oh, I don't know, you go. And then I have, in this case, a class like this was 29, all different countries. Okay, I write them all on the board. I miss one, humility. Oh, humility in Dutch, humility, oh, humility. And then, okay, but what is humility? Humility is precisely, you are who you are. When you want quality, you have one quality, you are happy with your one quality. You don't do as if you have 2, 3, 4 because you're not yourself, you know? So be who you are. When you have 10, you use your 10 and not 6 or 7 because you get dull, frustrated. Use whatever you have, you know? And I think this is it's a positive mindset and it's a very realistic mindset, but we have to overcome ourselves because it is not easy to be always patient. It is not easy to be always kind. It is not easy to. So they have to work during 6 weeks, do examination of conscience. How did it go with my patience today? Again, I was impatient. Why was I impatient? How can I become patient next time? You know, and I'm saying this seems extremely practical, but these are people from all the continents. It counts for everyone. And I think as far as people, there can be better Europeans in Africa than there are here in Europe that live the spirit of the European heritage better in Africa or Asia or wherever than here in Europe. So I don't believe necessarily that we have to get stuck to those borders, although of course here is the foundation, Christ, first of all, Europe. We have to live up to our vocation. So yeah, I think that the migrants that are here, let's integrate them as soon as possible, and I just had also an interview with Anna, and I think we have to tackle the problems at the root, so also the people of other continents, let's work on the roots, let's get the economy going there, and that we give all our expertise, work together with the people there, and so on and so forth, so that they don't need to come here. And I think that's a Christian spirit. And that we don't just work together with Africans and so on and so forth, only because we want to have their things that we need for the mobiles and I don't know what. So this is a different kind of mindset, but it is a Christian mindset that is very much needed. And I think if we tackle the problems at the root, wow, then then polarization will stop. Also, we have a lot of polarization precisely because of because of all these people come here and we don't have houses for them, or they take our houses, or they take our job. That's the general mindset. That's also not true. Anyhow, so I think in the first place, let's see people as people, integrate them, let them have an education, and so on and so forth, and at the same time work at the roots, get the economy going in those places so that they can stay wherever they are and they feel at home in their own culture, and so on and so forth. But we have to do that. If we don't do that, we have to be in the first place human and Christian towards other people. I think, yeah.
Last question, because time is calling.
Yeah.
This question was born during presentation. If history is repeating itself and we are observing now rise of radicalization in Europe, both of far right, so-called, or far left, parties like Alternative für Deutschland, Die Linke, or maybe Marine Le Pen, could the potential hypothetical rise of these parties could be danger for vision of unity proclaimed by Robert Schuman?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, this is very dangerous, but I think you have to tackle the things to get a sting out of it. And again, I think we have to work at the roots. Because if we work at the roots, we won't have this polarization. There will be much less people of the AfD and all those things. And also extreme left is very bad. And so there will never be everybody equal. And there will never be everybody very rich or whatever. I mean, it won't be. Let's just be Christian, I think, and let's try to become the best person we are meant to be by God. I think that's the solution of everything. And then we take out the sting out of all problems. Of course, I know this is easy talking. We have to work on it ourselves. But we can create initiatives, like initiatives. You can do things, what I'm doing at the university, you can do, well, you're doing it here already, but you can do also many more things, each of you also in your own realm, see what you can do to improve, also taking care of the elderly, I don't know whatever it is, but show yourself Christian also in acts of kindness and things like that. I'm sorry, perhaps it's not the best conclusion, but
yeah.
Thank you very much.
It will be everything from me. I think the time spent.
Thank you very much.